Okay, so assembly flexible fixturing, you are trying to emphasize uh, why is it important to have a flexible fixturing system, especially for assembly. Okay, in the context of what do you call flexible automation. Okay, how does this become important and why do you need this? So we know fixture, right? You have learned in manufacturing what is a fixture. Jigs and fixtures, I believe you have studied, right? Jigs and fixtures, probably in manufacturing you will have this. So we know that a fixture is used to hold the job in position. Okay, whichever uh, part is it, okay, that we are trying to hold it in position. Either you want to do machining on it, either you want to do assembly or inspection. Okay, regardless, what you want a fixture to do is hold the job in position so that it should not move while we are processing it, okay, or assembling it or etc. So uh, it's a device which holds a job in position. That's a simple definition you can say of a fixture. And you see, fixtures are essential to most assembly and machining processes, right? They're important, they're essential elements of any machining or assembly process, because to start machining you have to set up the job, right? They set up the workpiece. So how do you set it up? With the help of fixtures. Okay, so they're essential, no doubt. The design is vital as they have a direct effect on productivity, cost, and quality. Because you see, if during machining or during assembly the part has moved, okay, now your two locations will now have to be changed because of that movement of the workpiece. So you see how much time we'll lose to get it back, to get that workpiece again located properly in the correct position. That's why we are saying that they have a direct effect on productivity, cost, and quality also. So you lose the machine productivity, your machines would be idle because they have moved out of position, parts have moved out of position. So that, and cost and quality, even the quality would be compromised, right? The quality of the component in terms of surface roughness or dimensional quality, right, color, etc. So that, and estimated that 40% of rejected parts stem from inappropriate fixturing, right? That's a figure, okay, from the industry, uh, that 40% of rejected parts stem from inappropriate fixturing. So parts are being rejected, right? 40%, as is stated here, because of inappropriate fixturing. So it emphasizes how important that is. Flexible fixtures can assemble a family of parts with minimal change over time and cost. So what we want to have is flexible fixtures. Why? Because we want to minimize the change over time and cost also, right? But you see, uh, there are dedicated fixtures. Okay, one type of fixture is a dedicated fixture. So why do you have those dedicated fixtures? Because as the name suggests, it is dedicated, right? Like for example, you have a standard product, right? So you need, just as we said that you have a rigid automation applied to machines, we have standard machines, right? Like packing machines, inspection machines. So they are done, they are so made because this product design is standard, and there has to be a mass production of it. So in here also same thing. If you want to use those machines, you have to have fixtures also of standard products. So the fixtures will also be standard. So that's why calling it dedicated fixtures. They're designed for a specific part or operation. However, making, storing, retrieving, and setting up dedicated fixtures can be costly, right? Because it's a dedicated fixture, you are trying to involve more and more features, right? Making, storing, retrieving, setting up dedicated fixtures. Because as and when the part is changing in the machine, you have to change the fixture also. So you have to retrieve that, right? Firstly store it, then retrieve it, and then set it up, right? Forget about just making it, that's a whole different thing. R&D of it is a different thing. But uh, to store it, retrieve it, and set it up as and when required, so that that can be costly, right? So indeed, such fixtures can represent 10 to 20% of the total cost of an assembly system. So of the total cost, they represent 10 to 22%, 10 to 20% of what? Of the cost, right? Of the total cost incurred, just 10 to 20% is because of the fixtures designing. Moreover, dedicated fixtures typically require long lead times to produce, right? As I told you, a design of it and then you prototype it. The standard design cycle applies to it, isn't it? So same just as your product, your product now here is your fixture, dedicated fixture. If you want to make that, it will require long lead time, right? So that will cause your actual product that you want to manufacture with the help of that fixture, that will also get delayed. So as a result, dedicated fixtures are only feasible for high volume, low mix production. And what is that category? Can anyone tell me? Out of three types of automation we studied, what category does that belong to? High volume of production and low mix. That means the variety is not much. No one? We have learned the types of automation, isn't it? And we have discussed what each automation is suitable for. You see, there are many people who have just, they haven't uh, switched on their audio. Okay, so so high volume and low mixture of production, that's a characteristic of what type of product or what type of automation? Rigid automation, isn't it? I have already told you, right, when I was discussing here, that if you want to have mass production, you have rigid automation machines, and those machines require these dedicated fixtures, right? Already told you, right? So so these fixtures are only feasible for that. Although they are costly, they are you have the storage and retrieval problem, but when it is to be used quite often, high volume of production, and there is low mixture, that is, the product variety is not much, so you can use this kind of fixtures, dedicated fixtures. But our topic of discussion is flexible fixtures, okay? As opposed to dedicated fixtures, you see, flexible fixtures are designed to be reusable, okay? As the name suggests, they are flexible. So since they are an infinite variety of workpiece geometries and operations requirements, a true one size fits all fixture is not feasible, right? Because there are variety of workpiece geometries, the geometries of the workpieces changes, right? So operation requirements also change. So you cannot make one size fit all, that is all in one basically fixture. You can, it's not feasible, right? So that's where flexible fixtures come into picture. Okay, so but flexible features can be designed to fit a family of similar products that require similar operations. Okay, so you can select a family of similar products, okay, that they have the classification is uh, or basically the sorting is based out of similar operations, that you're sorting that these are the similar operations for these products, okay, they are having a similar operation sequence. So you can design a flexible fixture for that, right? Minimal changes, and you can accommodate different products, okay, with those different geometries. Compared with dedicated fixtures, the initial costs of flexible fixtures are higher, but the total cost of ownership is lower because they can accommodate multiple products, isn't it? Initial cost is higher, yes, nevertheless the total cost of ownership is lower, right? Because they can accommodate multiple products, so you don't have to set it up again and again, right? That's why That's why upfront costs are minimized, you can say. Total cost of ownership is another way of saying it. Flexible fixtures are not incompatible with automation. In fact, they can be part of reconfigurable automated system assembly systems. Changeover can be achieved with or without worker assistance. Okay, so they are compatible with automation, right? They can be part of reconfigurable automated assembly systems, so you can just reconfigure them, okay, change the setup of it, and accommodate a different product like that. Changeover can be achieved with or without worker assistance. So that changeover, either you can automate it, or you can have the assistance of a worker, manual worker, right? Such an approach will allow automation to be adopted by small and medium enterprises, right? SME, small and medium enterprises, where product variety is high and batches are small, right? Unlike you have these product companies which are specifically dealing with mass production, you have other kind of enterprises such as small and medium enterprises, right? So wherein the product variety is high, they take up many production orders, right? All of different batches. So that, and batches are small, okay, I told you 10 batch, 20 batch, 100 batch of products, like that. So that is where this approach can be feasible, flexible fixture approach. To tackle with flexibility and quality in manufacturing sector due to increase in product mix, manufacturers are seriously thinking about flexible fixturing systems, right? You have to have flexibility, as I told you. Flexible automation is all about this. Either you implement in manufacturing or any other sector, you have to be flexible, you have to adapt the changes, either in product changes or schedule changes, right? So this flexible fixture is one aspect of it, right? So this is why manufacturers are thinking about flexible fixturing system, not just flexible manufacturing system, but also to have fixtures which are flexible, okay, not just machines which are flexible, but fixtures also. Okay, is this clear? No doubts? You see, I want to show you a video that will give you the idea of uh, fixture systems. Okay, this flexible fixture system. Let me share the screen, and please confirm if you are able to see the video and hear the audio of the video. Okay, able to hear it? Yes. Okay, so you see now that fixture, how is it, how why are we calling it modular fixture system? That's one type of it. You have different type, modular and what do you call this, adaptive. There are many categories. One category of it is modular fixture systems. So they are in the same category of flexible fixture systems. Okay, that how flexibly are you able to accommodate different part geometries? How are you fixing that? How are you able to fix that? You see. You see, all those are clamps. Okay, once the part comes in, you'll be able to clearly identify what purpose, for what purposes have for what purpose have they been kept. Okay, and these slots that you're seeing, right, that's what makes it modular, right? That you can attach it anywhere. This entity could have been attached here, right? So it's that flexibility, right, these slots give us. And just to tell you, this plate, okay, this base plate will be attached to what you want to uh, fix the workpiece, right? The workpiece will be placed on this base plate. Where will this base plate be kept? On the work table, right? Machine work table, right? That's where you will fix this, and then you can start the machining or assembly or inspection, etc., right? Now you observe how these all elements are trying to restrict the part. Okay, each one of it will restrict a degree of freedom. Okay, you observe, like this one has come up to tighten it, right? This is another part, right? The earlier part was different. This is another part. You see how that all the supporting elements have changed, right? Is it clear, or there are any doubts how we are able to restrict the different degrees of freedom, right, with the help of those elements? And as was mentioned, very useful for you see, prototype construction, right? If you want to make prototypes, etc., for small series, and spare parts also, because you cannot have like there will be many spare parts in the market, right? So to accommodate each one of them, you have to have a separate fixture for it. So instead of that, if you can have this flexible fixturing kind of system, then it will be very helpful, isn't it? So that and all those small products which are to be made in small batches, as I said, low volume of production, right? Low volume and high variety is there, then flexible systems are very much suitable. flexible assembly systems and flexible even for machining also. Clear, right? Okay. And other thing is this yesterday, yes, another thing to clarify, some people are asking what should we write about this in the assignment. I gave you the one question is there, right? I discussed the different machining CNC machining centers and how they can be used to achieve flexible automation, right? That question is there in the assignment. And what to write, etc. Because you see, after this, the features of flexible that you can achieve with flexible CNC manufacturing systems, this topic is there. Okay, we have just discussed what are the broad benefits out of it. Okay, and we are seeing how these machine centers are able to fulfill that. Okay, so that's what you have to write, that how these machining centers are able to achieve flexible automation, right? Like how are they able to accommodate the different product variety? Because as we know, we had discussed yesterday that we are trying to, instead of multiple machines, we are trying to keep uh, as less machines as possible, right? Ideally one machine, but as many as less machines as possible, two or three. So why? Because we want to reduce the setup time, and we want to have that machine. Once a part comes in, it's set up, and then you should be able to perform different operations on the same machine. So that's what makes it flexible, right? So you have to give out different reasons why, as to why these machining centers are able to achieve flexible automation. And a flexible automated system, right, or an industry, why should they take these machining centers, all these four categories that we saw. As for machining centers, you have horizontal, vertical, and universal, right? These features, one of the most important: automatic tool changing, work part positioning, pallet changing, right? All these are features that allow you to handle different product varieties. You have to explain that. And right, this pallet changing and turning center, how these advanced features are helpful to process different parts, and also within less amount of time, reduced setup, and also non-productive times minimized. We have to explain that. And mill turn center, same thing, right? The different features out of it. So like this has a rotational spindle, right? It is able to do both turning and then milling and drilling also, right? Mill turn features as is written. So that, and where you are able to perform these operations, and they are limited to small diameter parts, but they are able to process cylindrical parts also. That after cylindrical this turning is done, you can even perform milling on the same center, like that. And multitasking machines, right? These 5 axis machines, how are they able to achieve that? How are you, what products can you make out of this, right? Different products, and the special operations: tapping, gear cutting, grinding. And larger and irregularly shaped parts, that's one other feature of it, multitasking machine, right? So that, that is clear, right? How you see here, of the advantages of it, you are able to implement flexible automation, and flexible automation has all these benefits: fewer setups, reduced part handling. So that's why this is colored. And so basically all these benefits you'll achieve, right, because of the versatility of the machines when you compare it with CNC machine tools, right? So that is clear, is it? Assignment, and try to write your assignment before the mid exam is itself, okay? Because it will be both practice for you. You are all, you are learning simultaneously, the assignment will also be over, right? So, and quiz, yes, I'll announce about the quiz today. Tomorrow we'll be having quiz 2. Okay, I gave you I took kept it this late because I wanted to have you write the assignments first and then the quiz, so that it'll be easier for you to answer those questions, right? Okay, so this is clear. Anything else? uh, yes, I did made some changes in here when we are discussing NC here. Yes, I have I've taken this additional slide here, okay, to discuss the this method in manual part programming. We have these two categories of point to point and contouring jobs. So this was not there earlier, I just added it, okay? So want you to know this, that you have these two kind of systems, basically point to point positioning system and contouring NC systems, right? Wherein you are, if you're specifying the tool motion, uh, one way to do it is point to point, that you are only specifying what point should the tool go to, okay, irrespective of what is happening in between. The path is not important, okay? It may take this shape, it, I mean, it may go this way, it may go this way, okay? But location is important. It should reach that location. Once it leaves here and goes there, it should reach that location, right? That is what you're specifying: coordinates of this location, coordinates of this location, right? So point to point, that's what it indicates. Very useful for drilling operation, right? If you want to have drills, or you want to have specific machining at spots, like for example welding, right? That's a very good example, that you want to have spot welds at different points. So your tool should move to these points. The point data is important. So that G00 rapid traverse is what you'll use here, because you don't bother about the speed at which the tool is moving, right? This is point to point. Another thing is contouring NC system, where you are concerned about how the tool is moving, right? Because you want to achieve a particular geometry, right? You want the tool to follow a particular curve, and that's why this is important that you maintain the tool location. The tool location should have to be uh, monitored, right? The machine control unit should have a feedback system also, which should tell the machine control unit that so and so location the tool is moving, right? And then it can make changes if at all it is not moving in the desired path, okay? So that's what contouring means, right? You are able to achieve complicated curves, okay? So that, and needless to say, this can be applied to any either machining or welding or inspection, right? We are discussing the general uh, operation of these machines, right? So another category that you can make is straight cut, okay? That falls in between. So you don't have curvilinear, like curve motion, you have straight line motion, okay? Like for example, should I annotate? Like for example, if you want to make this part, okay, You want to have a depression here. This is a solid part. You want to have a depression here in the third perpendicular to the screen. Okay, so how should your tool move? Like this, straight line motion, right? What the limitation is, it cannot move in an angle, right? Fillets cannot be made, curves it cannot go to or perform any curve motions, or you're not able to achieve what do you call angular movements, right? So that could be another category, right? Straight NC system. Clear? And this is important because in manual part programming you'll specify this. Yes, it is this that you are specifying. How should the tool move and the location of it? What is the tool number, right? So this is why this becomes important, that the part programmer has to take into account if he is following point-to-point system or contouring system, and it depends on the hardware of the machine also, right? Is it able to handle contour jobs or not, and complicated geometries? So that, right, that's your manual part programming. And in your computer assisted part programming, that you don't no longer have to prepare manuscripts, etc., but uh, you'll prepare a high level program, right? And after that, the computer's job is to take the translation of that high level language into a low level language understood by the computer, and then calculations, cutter offset calculations. I already explained, right? Cutter offset, about the tool nose radius. Yes, I had explained about the tool nose radius, etc. So okay, so all those calculations, cutter offset, that comes under your computer assisted part program, right? That's the basic difference, that you're leaving much of what do you call the complicated work or the calculation part is left to the computer to do. Okay, and the programmer is relieved of that. He only has to specify the geometry. Okay, once the geometry has specified of the part, right, he has specified the geometry of the part. Now the computer has to calculate the tool path. Okay, based on the cutter offset, he also has to take the cutter offset and calculate the tool path. Okay, clear, right? So that comes under your NC uh, part, NC technology, right? NC technology, and then we discuss NC part programming.